What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Chris, man. We are here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is Wednesday, January 22nd, 2024. My name is Chris Drummond. I am a sports reporter, freelancer based out of Minnesota here, and proprietor of this podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder, where I bring individuals on to talk about their why and get to know them outside of their occupation. I got a special guest that's going to be coming on with me today. She is a sports reporter, and she is based out of Texas. Her name is Kelly, and she is going to come on and talk about her why of getting into the journalism field, and also we're going to get to know her a little bit. She is an alumni of University of Arizona, but she also spent some time at the University of South Carolina as well. So without any further ado, I introduce you the wonderful, talented Kelly.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hey, Kelly, how are you doing? So, thank you for bearing with me. Sorry, I'm a little late.
No,
Uh,
no worries.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Just getting in actually, but I had to get a little set up for that and make sure we was right. But I wanted to say thank you for hopping on my podcast. Work hard, play harder. How is your week going so far?
My week's going fabulous. Today is my Sunday, so no complaints. You know, mid basketball season, so busier than ever, but that's what you do it for?
Absolutely, no question about that. And look, before we get started, so I love the brunette hair. You look absolutely
Thank
lovely.
you. Yes,
But
it's a change.
so it is because when I was doing my research on you, I saw a 2022 reel of a
Yep,
blonde Kelly, and I saw a 2024 reel of a brunette Kelly, and I was like, wow, okay, I
yep.
like both looks, and
Yeah,
you
and you
did a
know it's
hell.
me because it's my last name. There's probably not another one out there. So, yep, it's a change.
It's not, and listen, you did a great job, hell of a job on both of those reels, no
Thank
question
you.
about it.
Thank you.
No, no, you're very welcome. My second question to you before I get started is, how do you pronounce your last name?
Horizon.
Wow, Horrison.
Yep.
Okay. Do you know I tried saying your name about 25 times, and that is not the pronunciation that I had with your name? Because I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna ask her because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna butcher your name like that. I'm just not.
No, it's
So
okay. If I had a penny for every time someone mispronounced it, I would be stinking rich.
I feel you on that. Listen, I treated you like Beyonce and Rihanna. I just called you one name, Kelly. That's it. That's just what we're gonna do. So I
Yeah.
feel you. That's awesome. I want to reiterate to you, Kelly, why I wanted to have you on here is
Mhm.
because I know you're a sports reporter like myself. I'm a freelancer. I've been in this industry for about 7 years, but I
Mhm.
started off doing sports reporting in Atlanta, Georgia, moved out here to Minnesota. Been working with different publications, covering high schools, covering colleges, and stuff like that. And now I'm doing professional as well as a freelancer. So I love my time as a sports reporter. It's wonderful. To me, it's the best job in the world, but I'm a little biased on that.
Yep.
Um,
Makes two of us.
but I wanted to reach out to you because I saw your reels. I saw how professional you are, how much passion you show in your reels, and just the fact that to connect with you and talk with another fellow reporter because we don't get a chance to tell our story. Right, we're
Sure.
always finding stories. We're always talking about stories, but we don't get a chance to tell our story. And your story is just as important as anyone else's. And I definitely wanted to have you on here. It was a no-brainer and having you on here on my Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. And with that being said, Kelly, my first question is the same as it
Okay.
is with everybody that's on here, and that is, what is your why? Why do you do what you do? Did you have any role models growing up? Any inspirations maybe in your life? But what is your why of doing sports journalism?
I feel like there's a few different sides to this. So I've known I wanted to do this pretty much my entire life. I remember being 10 years old. I'm from New York, so I'm a Giants fan. I remember going to one of the Big Blue games and I saw this woman bouncing around on the sidelines and I was like, hey, Dad, what is she doing down there? And he's like, oh, she probably works for either a local TV station or she works in-house for a team. And I've always been one that's always nosy, asking questions. So journalist was right up my alley, as well as I've always been an athlete all my life as well. primarily volleyball and lacrosse all the way through college. So between those two passions, it was kind of a no-brainer to become a sports journalist. But now that I'm here, I think my biggest why would be telling people's stories, right? I feel sometimes in media the not the right light is shined on some people, not all
Sure.
media is good media, and these people are real people just like you and I. They're more than just someone who gets on the field every single week, every single Sunday, whatever their sport may be, and put on a jersey. They're more than just their stats. So I want to share who they are outside of the uniform, as well as, and my biggest impact, yes, I want to share their stories, but I want them to remember how I treated them off camera. If I can make an impact in people's life, or inspire other people as well, I would say all of those whys combined is why I'm here.
No, absolutely. That's a great answer. That's exactly why I wanted to be a sports reporter too, is to
Mhm.
be a pillar in the community. I'm in a small town, population's 14,000, so it's
Wow.
very small. But I love the fact that you could be able to tell stories that nobody else tells, right?
Hmm.
And cover high school games where they shut down the whole town and everybody shows up to the games, like it's almost movie like
Right.
when you're in these kind of towns. And I love that why. I really do. You said you was a Giants fan. God bless your heart. But um, you had two really good moments, obviously. I mean, the Giants broke up that Patriots undefeated season, and
Yep.
then they also beat Tom Brady again just 4 years later. I know you remember those two as Giants fans as well. Talk to me about where were you when the Giants broke up that undefeated season in '07? Because I know I was, oh man, where was I? I was probably I forget where I was. I was probably in Georgia though, and I was hoping and praying that the Giants win. Talk to me about that moment for you.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone. I think a lot of people were hoping and praying that Eli Manning would get it done. And like you said, he didn't just get it done once, but twice as well. I remember I was sitting with my dad. He's my biggest inspiration. He's the one who taught me all about sports. I sat down with him on the couch every single Sunday to watch football. He's the one who taught me the ins and outs of the sport as well. So I remember sitting down with him. I was rather young, but that is my first big winning moment that I remember with the Giants. Nowadays, still watch with my dad, but unfortunately, it's not as great. But
Oh,
that's
uh,
that's what comes with sports, and the loyalty is always there. And I won't be going anywhere in terms of who I'm rooting for every single week.
And Kelly, I respect that. I really do. I admire that so much. I'm a Chargers fan. I grew up in San Diego,
Okay.
California. So LT is my favorite player of all time. For those of
Mhm.
you that don't that will watch this, LT is not Lawrence Taylor. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about LaDainian Tomlinson.
Mhm.
Charger, huge um, person that I loved playing the Chargers game. I actually cried. The one time that I cried was, I don't know if you remember that, but the year before the Chargers were like the number one team. LT had won the MVP. I was younger, I should say, and I cried. The only time I ever cried in a game was when the Patriots beat us in San
Mhm.
Diego. That was heartbreaking for me for sure.
Yeah,
So I had to
that's
throw that
tough.
out.
I mean, you're not unfamiliar though with a couple close, heartbreaking losses as a Chargers fan. I have a few friends who are Charger fans. The year before last, I was out in California, so there were a bunch of Charger fans, and I would watch them get rather upset every week or so.
Absolutely,
But
absolutely. So
ebbs
you
and
already
flows.
know. I love it. I love that, Kelly, that you already know that. Now, doing a little bit of background research, you went to two universities. If I'm not mistaken, you went to the University of Arizona and the University of South Carolina. So you started at U of A, then
Mhm.
you went to South Carolina, then you went back to U of A. Please,
Yep.
inquiring minds want to know, what was that all about? Like, talk to me about that.
That's fascinating. Not a lot of people know that about me. So kudos for you for finding that out. That is a fun fact, for sure. So that's exactly right. I started at Arizona,
Mhm.
transferred to South Carolina,
Yeah,
transferred back to U of A for my final 2 years of school. I still
absolutely.
graduated on time and everything, despite all those moves, 4 years.
Right.
Being from New York, I knew I wanted to go far. So that's how I ended up at Arizona in the first place. I knew in this industry, you have to go where the job is. You can't necessarily settle down in whatever city you want and become an accountant
Absolutely
or
right.
a
Yes.
server, you know. You just have to blow with the wind, and it is what it is. So I knew I wanted to go somewhere that was very different, that I could learn a lot of life lessons. As I mentioned, I played lacrosse as well. It was just club, but it was 5 days a week, rather serious, but with also without the NCAA D1 commitment, right? So all those
Mm,
factors combined, as well as
absolutely.
walking on campus and seeing the palm trees for the first time, that's
Mm,
really what drew me in to go to U of A the first year. Once I
okay.
got there, doing some classes, doing some more research on what the journalism program was, it's definitely not a school that's known for broadcast journalism.
Right.
They have the basic classes, but it's all about what you do outside of the classes. And I'll be honest, I think I was a naive 18-year-old. I didn't want, I wanted it to just go to class and have it done for me, you know, in a way.
Absolutely.
Um,
Sure.
South Carolina was a lot, they have way more reputable people who came out of there. The classes are a lot more hands on and in depth. So, therefore, I thought I could get a lot more bang for my buck in one sense or another. That if I went to class, I would learn more. And that was that. So, I went to South Carolina. It was great, but it was no U of A. So I played lacrosse out there as well. And things just started falling apart. And I was kind of looking at maybe transferring again that
Yeah.
second semester. And
Right.
all of a sudden, things just started falling back into place in Arizona. I can't really explain it other than it was just meant to be. All of the right pieces were moving how they should. Um,
Sure.
I visited Arizona every now and again, of course, go to watch my team play, to support them, visit my friends. And I just knew that's where I was supposed to be as a human being. And if I wanted to do this industry, I would have to do the work outside of the classroom. So that's what I did. I hunkered down, you know, instead of, I still played lacrosse, but I knew, you know what? Lacrosse isn't forever. So I started kind of just shifting my priorities. And instead of going to games or going to practice or going to hang out with my friends on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights,
Hmm.
I was out working basketball until 12 a.m., 1 a.m. So
Absolutely.
that was kind of the thought process about how I left and how I came back.
Yeah, it's fascinating sometimes, Kelly, because when you get into this mode of journalism,
Hmm.
right? And we're going to get to this because we're going to talk about the mental health stuff. But it's fascinating to know that these programs, just because you're a big school doesn't mean you have a great journalism program.
Hmm.
And my thing is, doing a little bit of background research as I normally do with every guest that I have on here. I'm thinking, man, she went to U of A twice, and literally right up the way, Arizona State is known for their actual journalism program. Like I thought about going to Arizona State myself. Also thought about going to Syracuse because I have family in New York. So
Hmm.
my dad's been in New York for the past 20 plus years, 2 decades. So I thought about going to up there as well, right? Because most of the teachers is like, well, you should go to a Missouri, a Northwestern, a Syracuse, and a lot of those schools have great journalism programs. But to me, I went to Kennesaw State, and people's like, where? Where'd you go?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
like I went to Kennesaw State, and I think you make the best of your experience, even though it's a big school and it's not known for broadcasting. You probably make the best of your experience at that school, and you also had to make some sacrifices, which you do learn in journalism as you get older. Sacrifices are just inevitable in this
Yep.
job. There's no question
Everything.
about it,
Yep.
right? And really, you have a lot of friends, and I'm a very personable person, Kelly, but you also understand that your friends that don't have a journalism job, that don't understand what you do, will
Hmm.
never understand what you do.
No.
And that's okay. It's
Right.
okay to not understand it.
Right.
But don't even try. That's what I tell my friends that are non-journalists, don't try. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't
So
blame them for not understanding, but it's a choice we make. And you know
right.
what? It is an insane schedule, kind of like you referenced, and there are a lot of sacrifices you make, but all those sacrifices are worth it if you truly love what you do. So
No
it all
question.
makes sense. Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to get into some favorite questions, Kelly,
Yeah.
and you just give me the 411 off the rip based upon these
Okay.
favorite questions. So here we go. Favorite meal you like to cook?
Buttered noodles.
Buttered noodles. Okay, so fun fact here, I've never had buttered noodles in my
Oh
life.
my, so
Yeah.
simple, so good. I
Mm.
genuinely, before I came here to El Paso, I thought I could eat Mexican all the time, which I still love. But it gets old a little bit. I truly think buttered noodles till the end of time.
Okay, all right. I like that. I'm a huge taco person. You said
Okay.
Mexican food.
Yep.
So I love tacos. You know, us sports reporters, we work nights and weekends, right? So we want to make something fast. That's why when you said butter noodles, that's pretty quick. That's like a dish that's not going to take a long time to make. So I totally understand that.
One pot, one meal, and you're good to go.
All right now. I like that. Okay, so favorite concert you've ever attended?
I would have to say Post Malone on New Year's Eve. He was at Madison Square Garden, I think in 2018.
Hmm.
Yeah, that he was just an unbelievable performer and just got everyone involved. It was a night to remember for sure.
If you ain't been to a Post Malone concert, you got to go to one. I mean, there's no question. It's different. I love every album of his. The album that he came out with, obviously the recent album that he came out with, the 12 the F1 Trillion album, that
Mhm.
was good. But the album before that with the 12 karat two fake, that was
Yes.
really good too. However, for me, Kelly, the album before that, which I forgot the name of it, but that was a banger. Every song on that album was a banger. The one where he had circles on it, the one where he had,
Oh, yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
I
that
can
was a
picture
banger.
the album cover. But
Absolutely. So yes, I'm a huge Post Malone fan, no question about that. And matter of fact, I'm going to the Post Malone concert when he comes here again because he's coming with Jelly Roll.
oh,
Um,
that's gonna be awesome.
yeah, so absolutely, no question about
I do like the change he's making into, I'm not gonna call it full blown country, but kind of pop country, but he's been good no matter what he's done since all the way at the start with White Iverson.
that.
He's just been
Ooh,
phenomenal ever since. So he's a
okay,
good ride or
Kelly.
die for sure,
You
no
got
matter
some
what he's
good
doing.
favorite music, girl. I like that. I could rock with you now. Okay, here we go. Favorite place you've ever traveled to?
I would have to say Punta Cana. I am a real sucker for beach, just growing up on Long Island. I think a lot of people think of New York, oh, I grew up in skyscrapers and cities and everyone's on top of each other. Out in Long Island, we're
Mhm.
farm country, wine country, apple picking, and we're surrounded by three bodies of water. So I just grew up swimming for hours and hours. So put me next to a beach and on some sand, I'm gonna make memories that last a lifetime.
Totally understand that. Actually went on a cruise this
Ooh.
last October. My
Mhm.
dad set it up. So it was like a family thing on the dad's side and went to Punta Cana as one of my stops. It was beautiful. Now it was hot as hell, but it
Yeah,
was beautiful. No question about it. But even with Punta Cana, Kelly, I'm gonna have to say Jamaica was the best spot that I've ever been to in my life.
that's a good
Um,
one.
Jerk chicken was off the chain. I mean,
They
just
have
off the
delicious
chain.
food.
Delicious. It really was. So yeah, I feel that. I love that though.
Where
Punta
did you
Cana.
go when you went there? On a cruise as well, or did you go to
Mhm.
Atlantis? Okay, cruise.
Yeah, so it was MSC Cruises and Punta Cana, Jamaica, um, Cayman Islands,
Oh,
and Bahamas was the four stops that we made. So yes,
you hit up a lot of places.
yes, it was amazing. It was my first cruise I ever been on, but I can tell you it was not going to be my last cruise.
Oh,
I actually just signed up to go to Greece this next June. Yes, so I'm gonna go to Greece for about a week, which I'm pretty, and that's on a cruise too. So I'm pretty excited about that.
good for you. That'll be so much fun. That's definitely on my bucket list as well.
Girl, I will come back and give you all the deets.
Please give me the 411. Give me the tour guide.
Got you. Say less. Say less. Here we go. Okay, so we sports people. So I gotta ask you this sports question. Favorite sport that you like to attend? Favorite sport you like to watch on TV? They could be the same sport.
I would say football for both.
Okay. Okay. Now,
Yeah,
professional or college?
professional, but college has grown on me
Hmm.
since I attended Arizona. I started looking more at Pac-12 because again, growing up in New York, you don't really
Yeah.
have much over there. You have Syracuse was the closest school to me, I believe, and they haven't really done much. So I
Mm.
definitely grew up more so on the professional wave, but as I've gotten older and of course doing what I do, college is more so on my radar, but professional kind of just the caliber that they play, it's just so entertaining.
Absolutely. I would say football on TV for me, for sure.
Okay.
Basketball in person. Football is just too many damn people in the stadium. Unless you are on the field or have like one of those credentials on or close by,
Mhm.
that's when you experience the great football. But basketball, with it being a fifth of the size of that, mainly get about 15, 20,000 people at max in a basketball arena. It's just a beautiful thing. I love it.
That's
So
true. That's
huge
true.
football
I
for
also
sure.
feel like people stand more in football, so you have to be like, "Hey, down in front." Or basketball, people are more sat and kind of watch the action. I feel because there's so much more scoring. Where football, you don't know, you could have five touchdowns, you could have one, you could have a field goal, so people just get more amped up because the likelihood of scoring is less, and therefore stand up. So I understand.
Absolutely. Yes, I didn't even think about that, Kelly,
Mhm.
but yeah, you're right. Absolutely. It's a lot more stoppages with football. They
Correct.
stop almost every play. So
Hmm.
I totally understand that.
Hmm.
Last of the favorites.
Okay.
I'm huge into Texas. I have a brother who lives in Texas, Houston to be exact.
Hmm.
And listen, El Paso is definitely one of my favorite cities because I've been there before. It's small, but it's
Hmm.
one of my favorite cities for sure. I need to know what when I do come back to El Paso, what is a favorite restaurant of yours that I should check out?
Favorite restaurant? Let's see. There are so many good places. You said you like Mexican.
I
So
do.
I'm gonna go with Taco Neta. They have unbelievable a la carte tacos, so you can get as many as you want, mix and match. It's awesome. The environment is half inside, half outside. It's
Okay.
it's one of my favorite places here.
I love it. Now, obviously, if you're still there, I'll definitely have to come say hello to you and what's
Yes,
up. But the next
absolutely.
time I go to El Paso, I'm definitely going to Taco Net. There's no question. So I
Hmm.
love it.
No
That's
doubt.
what's up. Now what I want to do, Kelly, I want to talk to you about your day to day.
Okay.
As you know, as a sports reporter, our days are never the same. When I was working in publications, and one day I'll be covering a signing day, waking up early as hell to go to a high school for a signing day, or staying late for a football game on Friday nights, trying to get that deadline in. It's
Mhm.
just different things on different days, right? I want to know uh, how do you prepare yourself as far as your day-to-day operations of doing sports? Because I've seen you real. There's times where you're inside doing basketball. There's times where you're doing football on the outside. So talk
Mhm.
to me about your day-to-day.
Yeah, I feel like all the preparation comes the week before and planning and knowing what you're going to do because as you briefly mentioned before, which it sounds like we'll get into, a key to this job is staying on top of things because you don't want to become so consumed by the job. Of course, get what you need done and what you're responsible for, but you don't want to fall behind in your own life and what's important to you, whether that be cooking or eating healthy or going to the gym, right? So preparing the
Absolutely.
week before and knowing where you're going to fit all of these pieces is the most vital thing you can do, no matter what your schedule looks like. For example, pre-high school football, there were days where I would start at 5 a.m. and I wouldn't get off until 11 p.m. Now I wouldn't work the whole day, but knowing where I had gaps of time where I knew, okay, I can run home and just go outside and go for a walk and get fresh air or squeeze the gym in or even go home and take a nap.
Right.
And making sure you're refreshed is super important as well. And there's no guilt in that. I think that's something I suffered with sometimes. So I was like, I'm going home and I'm napping, I'm not doing anything, but that's just as important. That's another thing to take care of yourself. That's super, super important. Day to days right now, we're kind of more so on a consistent schedule since we're in Conference USA play. Uh,
Sure.
Tomorrow's going to be game day. So tomorrow I'll go in around noon. We're going
Hmm.
to do a live hit for 6 o'clock. So I'll just go in, do all the research, what I want to talk about, stack the show, go to the game, go live, shoot highlights, edit them, send them back to the station, and then go live at 10. So just knowing in your head what your day is going to look like is going to save you so much stress. And just kind of having a game plan, but also willing to be flexible, right? Because in this industry,
Absolutely.
game times go over, technology fails, um, things arise more often than not, quite frankly. Um, so, yes, having a schedule, but also remaining calm, knowing, okay, done is better than perfect. So I think that's something that's really important to remember in terms of the chaos of different days looking completely different every single day.
Oh, no question. You definitely have to look forward when those sports schedules come out and those ADs that you got to talk to from, high schools and colleges. You're definitely paying attention because
Yep.
every week is different. You're gonna have some games on the road. You're gonna have some games at home. You got to pluck in sometimes. Hey, your bosses may want you to write features. They want you to do feature stories and not just cover games all the time.
Right.
You definitely have to plan ahead, and I love that. I love that the day to day. But you also, like you said something pivotal too. You have to look out for yourself. You have to really manage your off days as well. Like
Hmm.
it's hard to shut it down
Right.
for me, when I first started out, this is year 7 for me. But when I first started out, I was like, man, it's hard to shut it off, Kelly. Like, you got social media, you have people talking
Right.
all the time. It was just hard. Excuse me. And now it's more so I'm more so having it under control now. But it
Hmm.
was like, man, okay, I'm trying to fit in everything on these 2 days off. Where
Right.
sometimes you can kind of steal some time depending on your day that you have. And you might not certain days are not as heavy workloads as other days, which I've realized that. Let's talk about mental health and work-life balance because a lot of people, Kelly, are leaving our industry because of that, right?
Right.
Mental health is so important nowadays, and people are starting to talk about it.
Right.
And people are leaving our industry because they're affected by it. The work
Hmm.
life balance, they're affected by it. As we talked about, you have to make sacrifices. So we work holidays, we work sports is 365 days a year and 66 on a leap year. I
Hmm.
mean, it's just all the time. And you know, for me, we talked about it a little bit, but I lost some friends early
Hmm.
on because I kept getting invited out to the bar to turn up and have a good time.
Yep.
And I'm a very, like I said, I work hard, I play hard. That's the name of this podcast, and there's a reason why it's named that way because that's how I live my life. However, I don't compromise what I do because I want to do that because
Hmm.
I love sports. I love covering things. I love talking to athletes.
Hmm.
Yeah, talk to me about your mental health and how you kept it strong and
Hmm.
also that work-life balance without experiencing burnout.
Right. I think there is a fine line, and I also think it's something you have to grow and learn what works for you, right? And here's the thing too, you can figure it out. Like I felt I figured it out relatively quickly at my very first station in Montana. Within maybe the first 5 or 6 months, I felt like I really had it down. I figured out what I did every single day. Even if my work schedule looked different, I knew in my head when I was going to go grocery shopping, when I was going to take me time, when I was going to catch up with friends because we don't have regular weekends, right? So I need to take
Yep,
that time out on a random Tuesday, Wednesday.
yep,
So Montana, I picked it up pretty quick. Here, took me way longer. And I think at first I was getting frustrated and kind of not getting close to that burnout, but just I couldn't figure it out. And I think that's also something to important to remember is yes, it's important to address those feelings, but not give up just because you haven't figured it out yet. Try all of
right,
these different things, delegating your errands on your to-do list throughout different days and figure out what works for you. For me, like you mentioned, there are some days I'll be working, but I have lighter days. So for
yeah,
me, I crack the code. Mondays are usually press conference days, right? For us here. And me and my sports director are there. So usually he's in the studio, he's anchoring, he's producing. So I chose to start coming in earlier on Mondays so that way I could get off at 6, 7 o'clock, do all of my grocery shopping then, clean then, and it just opened up tremendously. It doesn't sound like that's a lot to do, but it feels like I have a 3 day weekend now every single week.
right,
That's the first thing I do is kind of find those windows on those work days. I think however that works for people, that is key, especially again, sports games are at 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night. You're working
yep,
night shift. So
yeah,
you're even though you have the morning off, you're thinking about work, you're thinking about going in. So kind of finding
absolutely.
that time after work where you can genuinely say, okay, I'm done. I'm done for the day. I can just do what I need to do and go home, not run back into the office. So that's huge. What helped me is kind of finding that mini half day window in a way. Um, Another thing I implemented is doing one self date a week, whether that be simply just go to the bar next door and have a drink. If you don't drink, go somewhere new and try an appetizer. Go to the trail and go hike on the trail you kept saying you're going to do over and over. Push yourself to check off kind of some of these to-do lists and just places you wanted to check out. It truly is so rewarding feeling like you're
Right.
doing something for yourself and not just completely consumed by work. Even if you're exhausted, I get it. You just want to lay low for your 2 days off, but that can kind of create a hole in and of itself that then your mental health goes down feeling like you're not doing anything else besides work. You're not doing anything productive. So kind of push yourself to your limits that you're comfortable. That's something you still enjoy. It's not draining, but it rewards you in one way or another.
Absolutely. I love that answer. I really do. It's tough because a lot of people, Kelly, when they see you on TV, right, see you doing your broadcast journalism thing, they say, "Wow, she's got it made." The pretty lady that's in front of the camera giving us the 411 about sports, right? It's awesome. But they don't understand the behind the scenes. And this is why I like to do this podcast, is because people need to realize there's an A side and a B side to this industry, right? They don't know the behind the scenes of what you have to do to prepare yourself. Like
Mhm.
all that stuff you were talking about of, okay, you got to prepare yourself before you go into work, right? You got to look at the schedules before you go into work. You got to see what lighter days you have, what heavy days you have, right? You're editing, you're shooting, you're trying to get this on deadline, right?
Whoa, sorry,
Bless
excuse me.
you. Bless you. You're good.
I
You're
felt it
good.
coming on. I'm like, oh God, oh gosh.
You're good. And people don't realize that because Kelly, all they see is the final product of when
Mhm.
you go live, right? But they don't understand what you have to do to go behind the scenes because people are so enamored with you must have it made.
Mhm.
And you deserve your flowers, and so does every other journalist because
Mhm.
it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Right.
Um, and that's why I like having this podcast because people need to know the A side is what we love to do, which is
Right.
storytell.
Mhm.
But the B side is you're going to be working nights and weekends. That's
Mhm.
just sports. If
Right.
you're in news, you can have an overnight shift. You can have a
Right.
morning shift. You can
Right.
have all kinds of shift of news. You might
Mhm.
have to have some hard news where you might be doing a crime scene. You might
Right.
be doing a robbery or something like that. You got
Mhm.
to be dealing with things. You still got to work holidays
Mhm.
because if you're a short a news not newscast but a sports cast. I know when I worked, I had a two-man crew. I don't know
Mhm.
how much crew do you have,
Right.
but we had a two-man crew. So taking off holidays was tough. It was
Yep.
tough to do, no question about it.
Yep.
And sometimes as a sports broadcaster, you're a one-man crew. So you're
Mhm.
going around carrying the equipment, setting up the equipment, doing everything. I'm pretty sure probably in Montana, it probably was like that for you. I'm not sure, but
Mhm.
it probably was at times. Now,
Yeah.
being in El Paso, you might have a photographer now that you roll with, but then again, you might not.
Mhm.
But still in all, it's tough to do. And people need to know that for sure, that this is what you endure. If you want it, it's a great career to have because I
Mhm.
wouldn't trade it for the world, but
Right.
don't come in with the misconception.
Mhm. And I think here's the thing too is everything's about perspective, right? Montana, I was by myself 100% of the time. Technically,
Okay.
I guess you could say sports slash MMJ because you were your own photog, your own
Yep.
script writer. You're then turning off the camera and then running to go grab highlights. You're really doing it all and then going back and producing the
Absolutely.
show. You're doing literally from front to back. Um,
Hmm.
but I think with that as well, I think your mind is so powerful and how you look at things
Hmm.
can change everything, right? So let's say you have a friend who works at another station. They have a photog, they have a producer. They literally maybe just go on and be a reporter and do their job instead of being like, "Oh, I wish that would be so much of a lighter workload. I'd be so much more stressed." But look at all the tools that you're gaining. I
Right.
wouldn't trade it for the world because as I mentioned before too, when things go wrong or if there's somewhere I need to be and I don't have a photographer, I'm like, "Hey, no sweat. I got it." So I think it's all about perspective and what can I learn from this situation, whether that be talking about work and being a sports reporter or just life as well.
Absolutely. It develops your character. It develops how you handle adverse situations. Because being in this industry, you're gonna run into some adverse situations.
Mm-hmm.
Have, I'm sure. I know damn well I have.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. But that also is a great segue to advice.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, I also substitute teach, Kelly. Substitute teach, and I get a lot of kids that ask me all the time, the high schoolers, hey, about journalism. Hey, how is it to be a journalist? And I said it's a beautiful thing in the world. But I
Yeah.
always tell them two things of advice. The first thing is try everything.
Mm-hmm.
Don't limit yourself in this field because being a jack of all trades allows you to really be flexible and really be marketable as people want to be able to hire you onto their staffs.
Mm-hmm.
So produce, edit, write,
Yeah.
anchor, radio, whatever it is, try everything. And
Mm-hmm.
you also see what you like and what you don't like. The
Right.
second thing that I tell them is be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I try to live my life by. I
Mm-hmm.
really try to live my life in that. Like, I welcome uncomfortable situations because I want to see if I could turn that uncomfortableness into a comfort. And if I can do
Right.
that, again, it allows me to harden my character and allows me to be able to deal with adverse situations. And because you're going to have that in this field.
Mm-hmm.
And every day is not going to, I mean, sometimes it might be a sport that your director asks you to to cover that you don't know nothing about. I did a rodeo, and trust me, I don't know nothing about horses. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have a clue about
Yeah.
rodeo and nothing about that. But I turned it into a comfort. So I like to tell my
Right.
kids that. What kind of advice would you give someone that's in high school, that's going to college, or maybe a recent graduate
Mm-hmm.
from the university, or even maybe an intern that's interning at your station? What kind of
Mm-hmm.
advice would you give them?
No, I say that all the time. Become comfortable being uncomfortable. I think
Love
that is the biggest lesson you can learn. And again, don't get me wrong, there's a fine line. If you're really struggling, again, going back to the mental health thing, there is a fine line where you need to choose yourself. And like you said, some people are choosing to leave. But if you truly have a passion, you just feel like maybe this is a low point, I'm struggling. Again, there's ebbs and flows in this field, but
it.
you
Yep,
will get there someday. I truly believe anybody can do anything
no
they can
question.
put their mind to. So if they really picture themselves, and in a way, as you go up, it does get easier. You
It
become
does.
more comfortable, you get used to it. I think the biggest thing I remember as a recent graduate is the grass looked greener on the other side, right? So I was moving to the middle of nowhere, small town Montana,
Yeah,
completely different than Tucson, Arizona, U of A, 40,000 people just at the university alone, right?
yep.
Completely different. Meanwhile, all my friends were moving to Chicago, New York City. I mean, they were living the lives, or so it looked. But I'd call them and say, "Hey, how are you doing?" I love living in the city, but oh my gosh, my finance job is the worst, but I love my job. Grass always seems greener. If you love what you do, then that'll be enough to make you happy, and you will make it to a big city one day. There are stepping stones, and it's not quick, it's not easy, but it's not supposed to be. So
Right.
I think a lot of people tend to fizzle out because they can't picture themselves getting there. But if you know you're putting in the work, and I love this quote as well. If you're nervous about something, that just means you're not necessarily prepared for it. If you know you're putting in all the work and you're leaving every single day, you're leaving that office, you're closing that door behind you, and you're like, I left all I could do. I did the best I could do. You might still
Right.
want to grow and be better next time, but for what you came in with today, the energy levels you had today, what you had to deal with, if there were issues, no issues, if you walked out knowing I gave it my best shot, but I'm going to grow and learn and apply those things to tomorrow, then you'll be a-okay. And it really just comes down to um, trusting yourself and just starting that work early and making those networking connections as well
Yeah,
is vital.
absolutely. And I love what you just said. I really do. Because I graduated with my undergrad in 2021.
Mhm.
Uh, and my thing was, I was in school already working in Atlanta, but I was covering football and covering different sports. when I moved to here to Minnesota, which is a small town, it was damn near a culture shock, and I'm sure it was for you when you moved to Montana. So it was like one of those things. I was like, "Oof, okay, this is very different." But for me, I like embraced it because
Right.
I was like, this is a new place. I've never been to Minnesota before. Yeah, I'm sure you probably never lived in Montana prior to going there. And you're like, you know what? We're gonna make the best of this because this we're doing something that I love to do. And my thing was now I don't have to take any more tests. I don't have to write
Right.
papers.
Yeah.
I don't have to study in the library anymore for long hours. Like I get to do this, wake up and do this every day and get paid to do it.
Yeah.
And that was my mindset. Now my mindset was, whew, well, I'm glad I'm just happy to be able to not have
Yeah.
to be like, I gotta read another book or go through another lecture in class.
Mhm.
Right. So that's a perspective, going back to your perspective of what you gotta look at and how you gotta take it.
Right. And I think taking criticism as well is super vital. Be a sponge, let it motivate you, not
Mhm.
deflate you. I think that's the biggest thing as well, because you will make mistakes, you will stutter, you will attach the wrong video, you will make mistakes, but that is okay. That just means that you have room to
To
grow.
grow.
And I think that if you like, I still have a ton of room. I every single day I learn something new, or I find something, hey, I would really love to tweak that and get better at that. And until
Sure.
I get there, I'm going to stay here until I feel I've outgrown it. Like Montana, I stayed there for a year and a half and I felt ready. I felt confident to get thrown in and be uncomfortable again, because that means I'm surrounding myself by people who are bettering me and are better than me. And I will slowly reach up to them too. And once I get there, hopefully then I'll get thrown in another pond and learn how to swim once again. So I think that's
Absolutely.
super important to remember, not to be hard on yourself. You're supposed to be uncomfortable and just grow.
You are. And with that, I'll say this lastly before I get to the next question. Know your worth.
Yeah.
I think you should. You should know your worth because you are right. Constructive criticism comes with this job. You're
Right.
going to have mentors and have bosses that give you constructive criticism, but also know your worth and know what constructive criticism is
Hmm.
and know what the other side of that criticism could be.
Correct.
There's some people that may not have your best interests at heart.
Hmm.
And I know that's difficult to say
Hmm.
because it is,
Hmm.
but that's the truth. There's going to be some people out there that you run into the stations that may not have your best interests at heart. It's going to be limited because most people are, but
Right.
you have to know your worth and
Mhm.
know what you can do and believe in yourself. When it's time to move on, hey, it's time to move on. There's no kind of dwelling on it,
Mhm.
no kind of baffling in it. Make
Right.
that decisive decision and move on and do great things. And that's
Mhm.
exactly what you did from Montana to El
Mhm.
Paso. And I'm so happy because you're doing great things out there for
Mhm.
sure. No
Thank you.
question.
Thank
You're
you.
very welcome. We're at the portion of the podcast, Kelly, now that we're going to do my interactive game, which is called This or That. So
Okay.
it's an interactive game that I like to play with all my guests here on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. And it's pretty simple. I'll throw some things out at you, and you get to choose this or that. So for the second time, I'm going to ask you, Kelly, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Do you like chicken?
Yes.
Okay, so here we go. Which chicken place would you rather eat at? Popeyes or KFC?
I've never had Popeyes, so I'm gonna go KFC.
Oh my Lord. Oh Lord.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, I know, I know.
Kelly, Kelly. Okay, we're gonna change that for 2025. Okay.
Okay, so
We're gonna
I fear I made it sounds like the wrong choice. It sounds like Popeyes, from your opinion, is the superior choice.
well, I wouldn't say superior, but I would say it's kind of 51-49.
Okay.
Right? But see, the fact that you haven't had it, I mean Texas and the South and the Southwest, they
Mhm.
known for some Popeyes now. So I don't know in El Paso though. I'm not sure in
Uh-huh.
they might not have no Popeyes in El Paso.
You know
So
what? I'm gonna put it on my to-do list, and I'll follow up and give a real answer for that one.
okay, all right. So now I'm gonna ask you about chicken wings.
Okay.
Which flavor would you rather have on a chicken wing? Barbecue or lemon pepper?
Barbecue.
Okay. Do you like your wings wet or dry?
Wet.
Do you like your wings bone in or boneless?
Boneless. So chicken
Okay.
nuggets.
I like that. I like that. You like the chicken nuggets. I like it.
Or
So you
poppable, you know?
do you eat it with a fork?
I do.
Oh, okay. You fancy. I
I do.
like that.
You know, if I
Okay.
can avoid it, I will. But if they're
I'm
bone in, I'm not hating, and I will get in there.
okay. So you like to get a little messy too.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They're
Okay.
pretty close draw as well.
Okay, Kelly, that you're the kind of friend I need. That's for sure. I love it. That's awesome. I'm the same way, so I like
Okay.
that.
You
These
want
next four have to do with music concerts you
okay.
rather attend. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
so here we go. Which music concert would you rather go to? Would you rather go see Rihanna or Beyonce?
Rihanna.
Ooh, okay. All right. I got you.
Mhm.
Which music concert would you rather go to? Kendrick Lamar or Drake?
Drake.
Okay. Okay, I like that. I like that.
Mhm.
Which music concert would you rather go to? Taylor Swift or Carrie Underwood?
Carrie Underwood.
I like how decisive you're being right now. That's amazing. I love that. Okay. Which music concert would you rather go to? Would you rather go see Chris Brown or Usher?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Ooh, look at you. Yeah. Okay. Okay. You sat back on that one. I like that.
Yeah. You know, I'm gonna have to go Chris Brown. I
You
feel I
going
just know
breezy.
more of his songs, but I've seen stuff on social media from both of their concerts, and they look both so entertaining.
Yeah, if you've never been to an Usher concert, please go to it. It's amazing.
Okay.
I have not yet been to a Chris Brown concert.
Okay.
But it's on the bucket list for sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
you
Chris
have to.
Breezy.
That way you can answer too, you know? You can have a real life answer from an experience from both.
Well, Kelly, you don't want to see me dancing. You probably gonna say if you saw me dancing, you would probably say sit your ass down. That's what you probably what you would say. But I can definitely try. I could
Yeah.
definitely try to move.
Hey,
That's
you
for
know
sure.
what? That's all that counts.
That's all that counts, yo. Okay, I feel that. Which sport would you rather watch on TV? Basketball or hockey?
On TV, basketball.
I'm with you on that. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Which sport would you rather play? Badminton or bowling?
Badminton.
Are you good at badminton?
I mean, I remember tearing it up a time or two in middle school. So if my joints and my knees are as good as they were 10 years ago, I think I'll be all right.
Now you did say you played volleyball. Now, did you play? Was you an outside hitter? Was you a setter? Was you libero? What position did you play?
Oh gosh, I was libero. I'm a bit vertically challenged. I'm on the shorter side for sure. So I was in the back and I was doing defense. So that was my duty. I didn't even try to hang with the big dogs. I knew my place and I was gonna stay there.
Now, see, you say vertically challenged, so I'm a little vertically challenged myself. So I'm almost 6 feet. So I'm almost 6 feet for sure.
Okay.
I'm about 5'11". Now, when you say vertically challenged, how tall are you?
So I round up to 5'4", but I'm like 5'3 3/4, 5'3 1/2. So I round up, and that's legally what my license says as well. So I guess
Oh
they
my
did me a
God.
favor there as well. But yeah. So I mean, these girls, you know, they're 5'10", they're 5'11", they're 6 foot. So I'm not swinging
I
like
like how you I like how you said you round up to 5'4". I was like, oh, okay. When you said round up, I'm thinking you're gonna be like 5'9", 5'8". You said, oh, no, we round up to
oh
5'4".
yes, yeah,
Okay, I like that. That's a good size.
yeah.
Trust
But
me, that is because I listen. I'm not that tall. Like I said, I'm 5'11", almost 6 feet. So I'm not that tall. So 5'4" is a great size, Kelly. That's awesome. That's terrific.
I can still reach the top shelf, so that's all I can ask for.
I was just about to say you can ride all the rides on the
Yeah,
roller coasters. That's for
exactly,
sure.
exactly.
Absolutely. Webster has nothing on you, so that's what's up. So that's all that matters. I feel it. I feel it. Okay. This next question has to do with desserts. Do you
Okay,
like dessert?
absolutely.
Okay. I'm gonna throw four categories of desserts out at you. You got to choose one of these you'll never eat again. Okay.
Okay,
First one is ice cream.
okay.
The second one is candy. The third one is cake/pies. The last one is cookies. Which one are you getting rid of that you'll never eat again?
I think I'm going with candy.
That's a good choice because I would have got rid of that too. Now, what's your favorite ice cream?
I would say the most consistent, probably no matter what mood I'm in, Oreo is always a safe bet.
Stop it. No, it's not.
Yeah, it's always, it has a little bit of both. Also, I guess that's kind of cheating. You get cookies in it too, you know? So you get best of both worlds.
Wow. No, that's crazy. No,
Is
seriously, that's
that
my
yours?
favorite. That's my favorite ice cream.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
So and this is how it became my favorite ice cream. My mom used to buy the Neapolitan. If you remember the three
Yes,
flavors.
yes.
Okay, so she bought that flavor, and I love vanilla, right?
Mhm.
But what I used to do is my favorite cookie was Oreo. So I used to get like 5 or 6 Oreos and get the scoop, and I used to crush the Oreos up in the
Mhm.
bowl.
Yeah.
And that's how I would eat cookies and cream. So then later on, she would start buying the Breyers Oreo cookies and cream, the blue box, if you
Mhm.
remember the blue. And that's how that became my favorite ice cream.
Yeah, you were making OG homemade Oreo ice cream.
I was. Seriously. My second favorite is cookie dough. That's my second
Yeah,
favorite.
that's a solid one. I feel mine, anything with peanut butter would be second, but I have to be in the mood since it's so rich. Any
Yeah,
like sizz or something, but Oreo is pretty consistent no matter what.
no question about it. I love it. Okay. Do you eat potato chips?
I do.
Okay. So this is the same format.
Okay.
4 brands. You got to get rid of one of these brands that you will not eat again. So here we go. First one is Ruffles.
Okay.
The second one is Lay's.
Okay.
The third one is Doritos. The last one is Pringles. Which one are you getting rid of?
This one's easy. Doritos.
Oh, hell no. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. That was pretty good. That was pretty. Once I
Wow.
heard
No.
Doritos, it didn't matter what the rest were.
Okay, so let me ask you, are you a salt and vinegar person?
Yes, 100,000%.
Yeah, that explains a lot. That
Hmm.
explains it.
Hmm.
That
Got to my
explains a lot,
head
Kelly. That
again.
does. Wow. Do you know that is the second worst chip ever made?
Based off of your opinion.
Well, yeah. I can't base it off nothing else because you love because you love them.
I
But
do.
I'm gonna tell you like this.
Hmm.
That just means it's a whole lot more salt and vinegar for you, and it's a
Hmm.
whole lot more Doritos for me.
You
That's
know
all,
what?
and that's
Make me
beautiful.
happy. Yep.
That is beautiful. Do you know what the worst chip ever made is?
Hmm.
It's Funyuns.
You know, I agree. I actually agree with that. I, for whatever reason, I actually only just thought about this maybe last week. We were walking by my vending machine. And they're like, "Oh, look, we got Funyuns," and I was like, "Interesting." And I kind of put two and two together. I'm like, "That's literally just crunch. There's nothing. I mean, I guess you could say that's what chips are too, but it's just
Yeah,
fried nonsense."
it is.
In a way.
And if I could smack them off of every shelf that I see them on and step on the bag, I certainly would.
I
Because
want to
they,
know who's still eating them and funding them to be on the shelves.
hello, I'm trying to tell you, that's for sure. No question about that. I like that. You did very well on this or that. Well, I'm still going to like you very much, even though you wanted salt and vinegar. I'm still gonna like you very much. That's okay. But that's all right. I digress. My next question to you is, if it wasn't sports journalism, what career path would you have went down and why?
So I have two I feel I would have
Okay.
done.
Okay.
I think I either would have been a lawyer because I think, in a way, journalism and lawyers are hand in hand. We're both very nosy and we both love to talk. Journalists are very opinionated in sports. You can, give your
Sure.
opinion, say who's doing well, who's doing bad, what they would have done if they were a coach, right? Lawyers, you have to too. I think that would have been up there as well.
Okay.
Or I believe I would have been a detective. And again, in a way, I feel that almost goes hand in hand where you have to dig, you have to rely on your sources. You have to kind of piece things together sometimes in order to be the first media outlet to put something out there. Same thing with detectives. You got to kind of got work low key as well. So I believe one of those two I would have ended up in.
I can certainly see that. I
Mhm.
really can with you. I certainly wouldn't want you crossing my path as a detective. I'm like, I'm not doing no wrong, Kelly.
Mhm.
I don't want no smoke. I'm
Yeah.
good. Well, you also said you play lacrosse, and it's always the baby face ones like yourself that you have to worry about playing a game like that because something tells me you probably play midfield, um, and defense.
Yeah, I was primarily, yeah, actually, that was pretty good.
Mhm.
That was pretty good.
Well, I kind of guessed that from because I did not do any research on that, by the way.
Mhm.
That was a total guess.
Mhm.
But I guessed that because you're 5'4", as you said, rounding up.
Mhm.
And normally people that are shorter like to run up and down the field,
Yep.
and normally shorter people are more aggressive in lacrosse.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is, at least from what I've seen
Mhm.
people play. So, like I said, I wouldn't want to cross paths with you as a detective. I'm
I
good
think
with
it's, we're shorter, so we have a little more pent up energy. It has nowhere to go. So then you
it.
either run it out or you're on defense being aggressive. And being short too, you kind of be like a little sneakier and go underneath some people, which is one of my favorite parts as well, for
Yeah,
sure.
with the code for let's keep Kelly happy at all times. So that's so that's the code.
Yeah.
This is what that is for sure.
Uh-huh.
I love that. I love it. I would have chose theater, by the way. That would have been
Really?
mine. Yes, love theater. I'm a huge theater buff. Love musicals. Love plays. So if it wasn't sports, it would have been me acting on a stage for real. So
Interesting.
yeah, absolutely, no question. I would love to get your perspective on who should the Giants draft? You're a Giants fan, and the draft is coming up in a couple of months here.
Yeah.
There's so many problems with the Giants. I mean, just so many.
Yes.
From quarterback to running back, offensive line. Uh, I don't need to list them all. No need. But what is an area do you think that the Giants should attack first?
I mean, here's the thing. When we beat the Colts and we dropped in the draft pick, I think that changed everything.
Yeah.
If you would have asked me prior to that, I think I would have said maybe go for Shador or
Hmm.
Cam Ward. But here's the thing. If
But you
Drew
picking number three now.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't believe either one of them will be around. And even if they were, I don't know if that's grabbing any quarterback for that matter. I don't know if that's the right move, at least in the early picks. As you mentioned, we have so many issues that I don't know if Tom Brady in his prime could be in there and really do much. We'd be better. Don't get me wrong. We'd be better.
Right.
But could
Yeah.
Tom Brady be Tom Brady? Absolutely not. Could he go on undefeated seasons and grab some rings? Absolutely not. Um, so therefore, I think you just grab some dogs of offensive linemen that, yeah, people don't know their names for the most part. You're not getting
Sure.
stats like a running back or a wide out or anything like that. But
Sure.
we have Malik Neighbors, we're
Very good. Very
we're
good wide
okay
receiver.
there. Yeah, I mean, you got Tommy Cutlett on the bench, Drew Lock. I don't know what's happening with him, or I'm not sure what's up with his contract, but he's decent enough that if he were to stay and
Hmm.
build around him, I just want to be decent. I'm not expecting to go to the Super Bowl next year. However, look
So
at the Commanders. But anyways, um,
all it takes is one now. All it takes is one person.
but I just think quarterback should not be in our cards. We've done it. It didn't work. Let's let's just build
I think you can get a quarterback in free agency. You're right. I don't
yeah,
think quarterback should be in the draft. I think you can get a quarterback in free agency,
correct.
or trade for one.
Mhm.
I mean, you do have a high draft pick. There's possible where you can make some trades
Mhm.
because Cam Ward and Shador is probably going to be off. But do
Right.
you need a quarterback? Cornerback? Do you want to put Travis Hunter there alongside Malik Neighbors as a wide receiver, possibly and a cornerback? I'm not sure. Um, I do think the Giants have a solid
Yeah,
defense. I do think
yeah,
so. I just think that offensive line
tough.
that is tough because I don't know if I wouldn't draft the offensive lineman that high. I didn't
No.
think there was any offensive lineman that was that good. I would trade down. I honestly would trade down to see if I could try to do something with that, and then
Mhm.
see if I can kind of get some assets and build my team that way because it's going to be a long road for the Giants. It really is. You being there in Texas,
Mhm.
Giants obviously come there to Dallas. Is there any way that you can go to the game?
I wish. I mean, here's the thing. I think I probably would have gone if it would have been a game, but I think everyone knows it's not going to. I mean, it's not like Dallas looked hot either this year. Um,
Right. They played on Thanksgiving. That was a pretty competitive game.
yeah, but even when there's a chance with the Giants, there's not a chance. It wasn't happening. They always know how to ruin the script right at the end. Like,
Feel that.
play's
I
going
feel
real
that.
well. It's a great storyline, and then they just always have to drop a bomb at the end.
I
So
feel that.
yeah, I think if there was any way it was going to be a better game or a possible upset or a newsworthy uh, side to it, maybe. But if it's just going to be a Cowboys win, and not for nothing, a lot of people are kind of not switching up on the Cowboys, but they're frustrated. A lot of people
Oh,
just
for
stopped
sure.
going out on Sundays, stopped watching in public, and just decided to stay home and watch on their couch and cry in private instead and just look for next season, you know?
Do you have any family still in New York?
I do. My entire family is back there.
Oh, okay, awesome. I love that. I love that. I'm actually heading to New York next month.
Nice. The city?
Um, yes, yes. There's a 2 day conference that I'm going to be going to.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's in Manhattan.
Hmm.
It's called the On Air Fest. So I'll be going there for a couple of days for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah,
The
yeah.
city is awesome. I mean, there's just endless things to go and do and check out. I love it.
Absolutely, no doubt, no doubt. I want to ask you this top four. And I want to get a top four of sporting events that you would like to cover. And I'll give you my four, and then you can give me yours. A top four for me that I would like to cover in my career is the Olympics in
Okay.
28, the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
I would also like to cover, well, actually, I should take that off because I just got credentialed actually to go down there to New Orleans. So I'll take that off. But the NBA Finals. I would like to do a national championship game,
Mhm.
whether it's basketball or football. And last but not least, I would like to do a um, a World Series. Hopefully, my Padres are in it. That'd be great. But a World
Yeah.
Series, that'd be amazing.
You guys almost.
Yeah,
I mean, you must be devastated with all the signings the Dodgers have had.
I'm about sick of them. I'm about sick of these doggone Dodgers. I really am. I mean, these Dodgers, they pick up somebody every single day.
Hmm.
That's like, what is going on? Where's our money? Why
Hmm.
can't we pick up somebody like that? So yeah, I'm about sick of the Dodgers for
Yeah.
sure.
I don't know
It's
who
pro-
you're rooting for to go to the Super Bowl or win it. And again, I don't know how legit this is, but I saw on Twitter today or X, whatever they call it now. Don't know how legit, but so they say that Josh Allen went to the Dodgers stadium during the offseason just to boo the Dodgers. So I don't know if that makes you want to root for Buffalo now, but I saw that was a fun fact, and I'm like, wow, all of a sudden I love Josh Allen. So
well, I was wrong with my prediction. I thought it would be Buffalo and Detroit in the Super Bowl at the
yes.
beginning of the season. I really did. People say, "Who is your MVP?" Well, I said Josh Allen. And the
Hmm.
reason why I said Josh Allen is because he lost his two starting receivers.
Hmm.
And the Buffalo offense was going to have to go through him because he's playing with unknown guys
Right.
as far as his receivers go. Now, he had tight ends that they knew in
Hmm.
Kincaid and the Dawson guy, I believe. But James Cook was also somebody of an unproven running back. So I thought Josh Allen would be in the MVP
Okay.
conversation, but he had to turn over the ball less because that was his number one problem. He turned over the ball too much.
Mhm.
So, um, yeah, I still want the Bills to go because the Chiefs, they're in my division. I don't want them to go again. Like,
Yeah.
ugh. Please, somebody else. Somebody else
Mhm,
go. And I want the Eagles to go because my uncle and my aunt are from Philadelphia.
mhm. Yeah.
So that's why. That's why I wanted to go for sure. But what would be your four events that
Mhm.
you would like to cover in your sporting career?
Definitely a Super Bowl. That would be awesome.
Okay.
The second thing that comes to mind is not so much an event, but the dream would be to work for a network, whether that be reporting for the Big Ten Network, ESPN, just having that flag and being able to report for such a highly known network would be tremendous.
There's
Um,
no question. You keep doing what you're doing. There's no question you're gonna be there because you are remarkable at what you do, and your face is built for the camera. No question about it. But go ahead. I digress. I'm sorry to interrupt.
um, interesting that you said this before that you don't know anything about the rodeo or you're not a fan, but I love the rodeo. I reported on it multiple times during my time in Missoula. So if I could
Mhm.
report for PBR, that would be massive. That would be awesome.
That's awesome. That's
Um,
awesome to hear.
yep. And then my fourth one would be any Giants game ever. Doesn't matter who, that would just be the ultimate full circle moment for me.
That would be awesome. That
Mhm.
I would totally love that for you. And
Mhm.
listen, I respect the rodeo riders. I respect the riders. PBR, the only thing I knew about PBR was a bar back in Atlanta, Georgia that I went to, and I rode that bull, and I rode the hell out of that bull.
Mhm.
I did for the
Mhm.
time frame that I was on it. But I respect those riders. I just didn't know
Oh,
much about the sport, that's for
yeah,
sure. But
yeah.
I love that. I love the fact that you love the rodeo. That's amazing. And I love the fact that you said Super Bowl.
Mhm.
Super Bowl this year is in New Orleans. Next year is in California.
Mhm.
2 years from now is actually back home for myself in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes,
So
good luck.
I love that. So that would
Exciting
be amazing.
route. Yeah,
If I could see you there, that would be amazing one of these
that would
days.
be awesome. No, we will see each other there one day.
No question. Let's
Speak
speak it
it
into
into
it existence.
existence.
That's right. That's right, my dear. I love that. What is some advice that someone has gave you that you hold on dearly to?
That's a good one. I think the best advice I have ever heard is just be an open book. Don't put yourself into a window. If I don't get to this city by this age and this many years, I'm
Right.
done. Because I would have never guessed I would have ended up in Montana. I lived
Yeah.
in California for a year and I would have never, and I, even as big as it is and as many people want to go there, I never pictured myself going to California. And then I never pictured myself in El Paso. So I think always being open and just seeing what life has to offer. And again, maybe it's not your top choice. Maybe you were between two jobs and the one that you really, really wanted denied you. So then you kind of took this second one haphazardly. Just be open to what the job, as well as the place, and just the entire experience has to offer. I think that's the biggest thing is don't say no because it's not what you pictured. Always say yes, give it a try, and nothing is ever permanent. If it's ever that bad, you apply somewhere else and you leave or you figure it, there's always another door you can open.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. That's amazing. Give me a top three this time of stories that you have done in the industry. Well, what is your favorite like sports stories that you have done that you can think about? Like a top
Mhm.
three.
I think one that really got me was actually this year, and it touched me to another level. There's this local guy here who passed away a few years ago, I believe 6 years ago now. And every single year they do a basketball camp in his honor, and that story just touched me because his parents, you could tell they were just so honored that no one had forgotten his memory yet. Nobody had forgotten his story and who he was. Yes, he was a basketball player and he came from El Paso, but he was a human being too. He was a father, and still is a father. His daughter's still growing up here in El Paso, you know. And I think
Right.
just seeing the pure joy on his parents' face, it wasn't so much the story, but the impact I had on them by helping sharing the story was truly, truly touching. So that one happened this year. There was another one, um, this one in Montana, same thing. I just love all the ones that are almost sports brings you the story, but it's not about sports. Those are
Absolutely.
the ones I love. But there was this little girl, and she was wheelchair bound. A part of the basketball team showed up every single day. I'm pretty sure they had already clinched playoffs at that point, but had one more game. So they let her start. She played every single minute, and she had multiple baskets. Just seeing the look on her face was phenomenal, and being again able to show and record those moments that her and her parents will have for a lifetime was
Yeah.
was a wonderful one. Those are the top two um, that stick out story wise for
I
sure, that
like that.
have just been like a deeper meaning to it that I'll always hold on to and cherish and remember how those people and those athletes and those parents affected me.
Absolutely. I appreciate you sharing that, Kelly. I really do.
Mhm.
Um, this has been a really dope conversation of just getting to know you from your
Yes.
beginnings and growing up in New York,
Mhm.
coming from far east all the way to the far west, then going to the southeast, then coming back to the southwest,
Yep.
graduating on time, but also going to Montana. Like you lived a
Many
very good life, a
lives.
very good life so far. You have lived out here, but that's the life of a sports reporter.
Mhm.
People need to know that you're on the go, you travel many different places, you see many different things. And
Mhm.
that's also the beautiful thing about this job. You
Mhm.
never get bored. There's
No.
never a bored moment in this job because you're doing something different every day.
Mhm.
Nothing is redundant, nothing
Right.
is over and over again.
Right.
There's a new story, there's a new game, there's a new person that you talk to,
Mhm.
and there's just a new story to be unveiled.
Mhm.
Um, I'm very, very blessed and happy to do this job, but I'm also blessed and happy to talk to wonderful people like yourself.
Well, it's been
Um, we're getting near toward the end of the podcast, so what I want to do is some rapid fire. I want to throw some things at you, and the first thing that comes to your mind, you go ahead and answer it. So,
a-
for the last time, I'm going to ask you, Kelly, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, here we go. Burgers or tacos?
Burgers,
Pancakes or waffles?
pancakes,
That's my girl.
uh-huh,
Okay. Chicken or ribs?
chicken,
Okay. What's your favorite color?
black.
Black is always good. Now I know that. Here we
Not
go.
just anything.
Yes, indeed. Now, okay. Favorite Netflix series or TV show?
Ooh, Real Housewives.
Of course. Of course. Right?
Jersey to be specific.
I figured that.
Yeah,
A New Yorker definitely got to say Jersey. So I feel that. Okay,
yeah.
here we go. Okay, favorite board game.
Scrabble,
Okay. Favorite card game.
points,
Points.
points,
What is that?
points. How do I explain? So my mom, her best friend is a couple years older than her. So
Hmm.
she like loves cards. That's I guess that's what you do when you get a little bit older. So my mom started picking up because she would always go down there every single Friday night. All the neighbors would come and play points.
Okay.
Meanwhile, there I am, little like 7-year-old me learning points. Basically, you just want to have the fewest points in your hand if someone goes out, or the goal is to go out first. And then, based on if you have the highest amount of points, I believe it's 51. Whoever goes over 51 first, the game is over. And then you pay out whoever has the least amount of points.
Okay. So it sounds. You ever played Hearts?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's what it kind of sounds like. Kind of sounds like
Okay,
Heart. I feel
interesting.
that. I want to learn that game. I want to
That
learn
could be
points.
the official name, but that's what I just grew up on calling it.
I love it.
What about
Okay. Favorite sandwich.
tomato, mozzarella, basil panini?
Okay. All right. I like that. Here we go.
Mhm.
If you had a choice to bring three people with you, right? So it's three plus one, which is you're the plus one, so it's four total. Who are the three people that you would bring, and where would you go on vacation? Now you could choose family,
Mhm.
friends, or celebrities.
This is easy. I'll pick my mom, dad, and brother.
Okay,
Um,
where would you go?
I think I would go to Ireland because we're
Mm,
Irish. We're all Irish, and I just picture. I've seen people who've gone. It just seems very peaceful, pastures, greenery, and I just think it would be really awesome to get in touch with our side of that heritage. But
mm,
honestly, with them three, I would go anywhere.
I love it. I love it. Now, is your brother older or younger?
He is younger.
Oh, so you're the older sibling. Okay, okay, I got you.
Mhm.
Favorite alcoholic drink?
White wine.
Ooh, you fancy. I
Mhm.
like that, Kelly. You are fancy with
It's
it.
just consistent, like it goes back to the Oreo. You can always be like, yeah, I'll go for a glass.
listen. I'm a cab person. I
Okay.
do like white wine. I like Moscato too.
Okay.
I like that. I like Moscato as well. Pinot is pretty good as
Mhm.
well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm huge into that. But a good Cabernet, that's so beautiful. I love that. Okay, if you had a choice to listen to three artists or three songs that you would never get tired of listening to on repeat, who would those three artists or three songs be?
I'm gonna go artist because it's more you get a little more bang for your buck if you can listen to more songs under one person.
Sure.
Morgan Wallen, I would say. Gunna.
Oh, look at that.
Uh,
You stole my heart, Kelly. Okay. That's what's up. I love that.
Gunna. I'm torn on this last one, but I'm gonna go Lil Baby.
I mean, if you're gonna pick Gunna, you gotta pick Lil Baby. You know what I'm saying? They kind of go hand in hand, Kelly. They kind of go hand in hand a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that.
yeah.
But Morgan Wallen, that is definitely another end of the spectrum other
He's
than Gunna and Lil Baby. That's for sure. I love that. The
It's
different
kind of
two.
like the rodeo to my football. It's the
Mm,
same
I
thing.
feel that. No, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. If they came up to you, Kelly, and said, "Look, I want you to do sports broadcasting, journalism, but you only can cover one of these sports for the rest of your career. Which sport would you choose? Football, basketball, hockey, or rodeo?"
You threw rodeo in at the end.
I did.
I'm gonna go rodeo because I feel I still have the most to learn about it, and as well as the environment that it's in is really so touching. There's something so awesome. It's all homegrown. These people raise their own horses, cattle, sheep, lambs. There's just something so pure about it, and they're some of the best people. And I'm not saying, therefore, football, basketball athletes, but it's just
Sure,
high
sure.
intensity. The music, there's just something so beautiful about the rodeo environment that I think I could be there forever.
I love that. I
Mhm.
do. And I loved your honesty on that.
Mhm.
You have gave great answers all podcast conversation long. And once again, I really do appreciate you coming on to my podcast and sharing your story, getting to know you a little bit. As I do with all of my guests here on the Work Hard, Play Hard podcast. The final question is there anything else you would like to add about yourself, the job, or anything at all before we conclude?
Mhm. I mean, I think the biggest thing to remember, and we kind of goes hand in hand what we talked about prior, but don't compare yourself. Don't compare yourself with others in your industry. There might be people who are younger than you that have a more quote unquote higher up or desirable position. That's okay. Networking goes
Mm,
really, really, really far in this industry. Just keep up, send notes to people. You never know who's going to come in handy. And that doesn't go to say, use people and exploit that, but create the most amount of authentic relationships and connections you have. Those are the biggest things. And don't compare yourself to people outside of your industry either. With it, you're going to be moving so much. You might have people your age who have settled down in one particular place, have already bought a house, you're
Absolutely.
still living in an apartment, moving place to place. That is okay. That's their
Yeah.
story. This is yours. While they might be getting a benefit and getting a quote unquote head start on life, you're getting a benefit from living life without being tied down, with seeing all of these amazing places and becoming the best version of yourself by experiencing things and just being forced to be in an environment you've never learned before. You'll learn so much about yourself as well as the place. So just never compare yourself all around, I would say, is the
I
biggest.
love that. I do. And I appreciate you once again, Kelly, for rocking with me on the
Of course.
late night on my podcast. You and I would definitely stay in touch.
Yeah.
And I'm a new fan of yours. So keep rocking it out there in
Thank
Texas
you.
and whatever you're doing. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday evening and the rest of your week. And we'll be in touch.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for asking me such wonderful questions and just taking the time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.